So, Blake, I want to get into this, and it's a new idea on the channel, and I didn't mention this with you before, but I want to start doing player grades. So, from what do you want? Do you want to go from 1 to 10? Do you want to go A plus, A minus? What way? Letter grades, number grades.
We,
What do
we,
you
we
want?
can do letters. I think let's go. We can do letters, and I'll grade like three players each.
All right, perfect. Let's do 3 players each. So let's start with Caden Velkamp. 318 yards, protected the football, didn't turn it over. However, no touchdowns through the air.
I'll give him a B plus. I think obviously missing out in the red zone a couple times. A lot. I mean, there were some throws that were dropped that weren't on him. I think a B plus is a fair rating. I don't think you can give a quarterback an A if they don't win. If your team doesn't win the football game, although it's obviously a team sport, I feel like um, we did miss out on some opportunities. So I'll give him a B plus.
Yeah, I know. I get your point. You don't want to give a quarterback an A on a losing game, but that was one of the best front sevens in the country. That
Yeah,
was a
I
very
agree.
good defense that, I mean, FAU almost scored more than Arkansas on. And FAU, I thought Caden Velkamp had a good game, protected the football. He used his legs, and you mentioned it. He was the leading rusher as well. He has to get outside the pocket. He's 6'6". He's utilizing his legs because that's a Josh Allen built guy right there. 6'6", same build. If he can use his legs, he could be NFL talent, NFL prospect material. I'm going to give him an A minus. He completed over 60% of his passes, and he had that big
Yeah.
rushing touchdown on the first offensive drive of the game. Let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. And I don't want to go one player on defense because obviously everyone has to do their 111th. I want to go position group by position group. And I want to ask you about this front seven. So, defensive line and linebackers.
Gosh, it's a group that has let me down a little bit. I know we talked about it last night when we were going back to my car about two players specifically that have been a little bit of a letdown. CJ to get Jr. and Bryce Langston really haven't been contributing on the stat sheet as much as I think we would have expected going into the season. Um, I'm gonna go. I- I'm gonna go D plus. I mean, you have to be able to stop the run. They weren't filling gaps, and that's you can't let running backs get into the second level. At the D1 level, if you let a running back get into that second layer, usually that's where they're gonna get hurt. And honestly, this D line really did not do much to prevent the big runs. So a D plus.
So, what makes you go D plus and not F?
I think there was some because I think they did do a good job of putting pressure on the quarterback. I think they were able to make him rush some decisions at some points. Obviously, having a strip sack or a fumble or whatever, that'll move it up in a really clutch time. Um, I think they showed ability. I mean, the defensive line didn't give Memphis a reason to pass because they were able to kind of disrupt their Memphis's pass protection a little bit. So I can't go to F. I think D plus is a fair grade because of how poor they were against the run. I think linebackers against the pass also were a little bit of a letdown as well because they did hit a lot of stuff over the middle. When FU gets into man coverage, our linebackers are good, but I think you know if you get a good matchup with an FAU linebacker, sometimes you're gonna win a lot of the time. So I think there's definitely some improvements to be had with both groups. So D plus for today's game
Yeah,
or
and
yesterday's game.
I'll go more in depth on it, Blake. You mentioned the D line in specific. I was expecting the two veteran guys, Doggett and Langston, to get more pressures, get more sacks. So far, Deshaun Batiste and Najon Barber have really impressed me, and Sledge there too on the interior. Deshaun Batiste is going to have a great career if he doesn't transfer. He's still a freshman. He got a sack last night. He got a sack in the FAMU game. He got a fumble recovery in the FAMU game. He was really getting after Lewis. Big, big bright spot by Deshaun Batiste on the edge last night. Wilkie Denard as well was able to get some pressures on the edge. But I'm going to say everyone outside of Deshaun Batiste and Kamari Johnson in that front seven is going to get a F because you can't give up over 300 rushing yards. It's over 300 rushing yards. We're not talking about 100, 200. We gave up more than 300 rushing yards. And you knew
Yeah,
they were going to rush the football, and it was the big play moments. If we held Memphis to 150 rushing yards, we win that game.
I
But
completely agree.
we let them have 350 rushing yards last night. Big negative there. I would give Kamari Johnson himself a B because of the fumble. We're not in the game late without him if he doesn't put the pressure, get that strip sack. And I would give Deshaun Batiste a C plus just because he's on the edge. He does have to stop those outside zones and those stretches that they give to Sutton, Smith, and DeRozan. But he's not the main problem. They usually go inside zone, not stretch. So
Right.
overall, that's what I would say. I want to go here, Blake, to the offensive line because this is a big problem. Jake Von Nonar didn't play. Fushan Sapp was hurt. Madden Sanker obviously out for the season. Those three stars on the O-line are out. The offensive line gave Caden Velkamp on average 2.8 seconds to throw according to PFF. How'd you say they did?
I'd give him a B minus. The run game was really just like you can't win a football game without being able to run the ball. And they did not do a great job in run protection. I think pass protection was great. Even Kitley mentioned it. Great pass protection by that FAU offensive line. Um, I think B minus is more than fair for how ineffective the run game is. But it's like gold and dirt. It's like our pass first run protection. I mean, you can't ask for better pass protection. They're almost 3 seconds to throw the football. No sacks allowed. That's all good but if you can't run the ball, it's not good enough to get an A or to be like just a normal B. B minus, maybe even C plus for the O line.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of penalties, as we mentioned. Alex Okavich had a huge holding call in the third quarter that set FAU back 10 yards while they were inside the 40. That pushed them out of field goal range. Dottie Richardson, no disrespect, but filling in at left tackle. There have been some collapses there on the left side of the O line. But overall, you protected Caden Velkamp, and the run protection wasn't good. Pass protection was pretty solid. I'll give them a B minus as well. Blake, we did the three players. Let's get into one coach, the head coach. Last question here on the show. Look, Kitley's a great guy. Let's be honest. But as reporters, we have to grade him honestly. So, Zach, if you're watching, a lot of still optimism going forward. There is a whole lot of the season left. First year head coach. You're doing a fine job. But Blake, how would you grade Coach Kelly?
Look, in this day and age, a head coach is honestly a GM as well. And I think by this time next year we're gonna have a lot better of idea of what Coach Kitley can be to this program and what I think he will eventually end up being to this program, which is a fantastic head coach and someone that FAU can look to build upon for the future. Um, he's an offensive minded coach, which is what we knew he was gonna be. He's gonna throw the ball a lot, which is what he's doing here at FAU. Um, he's the offensive coordinator as well, so I don't think you can knock the offense that much. I don't think you can knock his play calling that much either. I thought he called a really good game, in my opinion. I think he utilized a lot of different ways to get the football to people. I think he allowed his playmakers to work. He's very I think in comparison to other like college coaches where we've seen fail, he allows his players to work. He allows his players to use their talents. I'm gonna give Kitley. I'm gonna give Kitley a solid B. I feel like the head coach. Obviously, you got a lot of control of what goes on. Uh, I think. I mean, obviously, he's head coach. He has control of offense and defense. I think the defense really like it's chunk plays.
Yep.
You can't call a game because of chunk plays. Like
Yeah,
there's
and
nothing a head coach can do.
Yeah, and Blake, although he's the offensive coordinator, he is still the head coach, so he does have to look over both sides of the ball. Yes, Dewhurst is the defensive play caller. I agree with you. And if Coach Kitley, if the game ends with it being 15 points or less and we don't fully collapse in the last 10 minutes, Coach Kitley's getting an A minus from me because
Yeah.
this is a team that's favorites to make the playoffs. This is a playoff team that FAU competed with. FAU was down by 1 point against a playoff team at halftime. FAU had a chance to win in the fourth quarter, but you got to keep the guys. You got to keep the energy up. You got to keep the guys playing throughout the entirety of the game. It's 60 minutes. It's not 45 minutes. And that's the problem.
Yep.
You lose by 39. 39 to Memphis. 31 to Memphis. 31 points. I mean, fucking 29 points. Sorry, I said 39, 31, 29 is the sweet spot. 29 points to Memphis. 55-26. If we keep that game 41 to 26, Coach Kitley gets an A minus. But you lost this game by 29 points. Memphis won by double of what the spread was. It was a collapse. It was a defense's collapse. And too many fourth down going for it, in my opinion. I'm going to give Coach Kitley a C+, which isn't bad. He passed. C+ passes in the world of grades. Blake, that was a lot of fun. Hopefully next time against Rice, we can come out with a win. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Night Owls #1 FAU's podcast. Make sure to hit that sub button. Leave a like on the video. It helps us a lot. We're grinding with daily podcasts. Thank you guys so much for sticking through. See y'all in the next one.
Let's go, Owls.